Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's finally time for what you've all been waiting for. You've got a question, I've got the answer, and of course the question is, can 200 foil Magic the Gathering cards stop a rifle round? I made my estimation very public in the last couple videos saying, of course they can't, so hey, let's go to the range.
Attention shooters. In 1 minute we will have a ceasefire. If you have a round in the chamber, you may discharge at your target, but do not reload.
Nice. All right, we're here on my dirtiest table with my worst lighting to show off the results here. First, from the last video, actually, we've got the fragments of the first vest. So not the one a couple years ago, but the more recent one. That was a 9mm hollow point. You can see through it, and it's a very clean entry, but not all the cards are there because the ones behind it got just absolutely demolished. You can see when the hollow point started to kind of mushroom out, it started to just rip the cards because it was slowing down. It was wider. It wasn't, a nice pointed, kind of blunt, but still cone-shaped bullet. And it just started shredding the cards. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. 9mm, not even that powerful. Cool. But here is the result of the 223. Look at this. Okay, so nice tiny little entry because it's a tiny little round moving very fast, around 3 times the speed of sound actually. So look at the results though. I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. Now this was 200 foils, keep in mind. Look at that. And this was not a hollow point. It is a full metal jacket, which means just a solid piece of lead flying really fast. So it doesn't turn into too much of like a mushroom, at least not on purpose. I mean, it's lead, it's soft, it deforms. But, I mean, just look at this. This is crazy. So it just started ripping and tearing the cards. And yeah, it was still kind of centralized, but what I'm thinking is little fragments were starting to come off the bullet and kind of be stopped by the cards behind it, right around there. So I think just little fragments were fragmenting like that because bullets fragment. I mean, like I said, lead is soft. It's kind of malleable but kind of brittle. And at these speeds, I mean, the physics of the normal room temperature metal barely even come in as a factor. So I did not expect this at all. Would I say that this almost stopped it? No. There was a pretty good plink of wood behind it, went right through it. And I mean, yeah, paper's pretty thick, but so is wood. So I mean, it still had a lot of energy, but at a certain point, would you even consider it a bullet? So if it was some kind of armor-piercing round, which I think are illegal in some places anyway, it probably would have held together, like if it was tungsten carbide or something, but I don't think that you can buy that. But yeah, then, I mean, if the bullet was harder, or maybe depleted uranium, that I know you can't buy, but they use that to bust through tanks, that would have gotten through here. But, yeah, I mean, this really, I mean, even brass probably would have made it through, but, this got just shredded past about, I don't know what, 170, you think? So, one thing I didn't do is look for bullet fragments. I just kind of am taking my initial look at this. Oh, I wouldn't be able to mail these out, boy. By the way, I literally shot this, 1, to see what would happen, and 2, to send the signed bullet hold cards to my Patreons, or patrons, sorry, I'm not one of those YouTubers that constantly gets that wrong. And yeah, we've got bullet fragments. Little tiny fragments of lead, look at that. I don't know if you can see that probably a little bit, but yeah, there's little flakes of lead going all over. It's probably also, since it's a copper jacket, pieces of the copper jacket. Now that probably isn't nearly hard enough to cause the damage we saw. I think it is definitely lead fragments, so I'll be washing this and washing my hands afterwards, that's for sure. But just look at that tearing. I mean, look at that. It's crazy. Oh, wow. And I think it didn't help that it's like a Mylar-like material. I assume it is quite literally Mylar that they just print on, but don't know for sure. I mean, I think Mylar by itself is clear, so this might just be pure aluminum, and we know that it does conduct electricity, so it has to be somewhat metallic. So I kind of do wonder what that is, actually. Some kind of weird metal-based laminate? I don't know. But that might have had something to do with it, but then again, I mean, the 9mm dragging with the hollow point did almost the same thing. So I think at a certain point, the bullet just broke apart, and that's the result, is much wider, blunter damage. And also, the other thing is, I mean, as it slows down, as it, burns its energy into the cards, it's going to get blunter, and it's a very, very sharp-tipped bullet. So, I mean, if I tried to somehow magically accelerate just like a blunt round rock at this, we'd probably be seeing this tearing even on like the first couple of cards. because it's like blunt force trauma versus like penetrating little tiny cross-sectional point, as they say in physics. So very, very interesting and unexpected result. I thought we'd see just a cartoonish hole. I mean, even look at this down. Wow, this lighting is really bad. I gotta use my grow lights for my onions and mustard behind me. Also got some Greek oregano, by the way. Heck, I should have made the video on that, but yeah, I didn't expect this at all. I mean, I thought it would be more like. Oh wow, these are rough. I hope I have enough to send out. Jeez, I mean, the whole point was people could, maybe throw these in their commander deck and just say, haha, there's a bullet hole in it. At least it's not a fake card. But wow, that dragged. Okay, let's see how bad it was. I'm gonna undo the whole thing. Here we go. Okay, so when did it stop looking like a bullet? Well, I'm not gonna do them one by one. But let's see. Oh, it started to sink in and drag like that far down. Unbelievable. I'm gonna have to like flatten these somehow. Whoops, before I send them. But I ain't sending these out. That's a little too damaged. A little structural integrity problem there. But look at that bulge. Look at that. It's crazy. I feel like that might have something to do with the mylar right there, or whatever the material is, because I don't know if you've ever tried to rip a foil in half, but you can't. Can't be done. Because it's got this weird, funny material on there. To me, look at that. You can see through it. That looks like Mylar to me. But, I don't know. Why would it conduct electricity? But Mylar is almost always coated with aluminum. So, I don't know, but it doesn't rip. Well, okay, I just managed to rip it. I think if you start at the edge. But if you try to just, like, blunt force, just rip it, you can't do it. Just kind of stretches. So, that may have had something to do with why we're seeing the results we're seeing. But yeah, that's what happens when I guess you try and stop a bullet with 200 foils. And I think the amount of energy off a 223 is like 8 times higher than a 9mm. And the shape of the bullet, it's a much, much, much less point. So this should have had like 30, 40, 50 times the penetrating power as a 9mm, and that just does not appear to be true. And we are comparing foils to foils, of course. That last one was foils as well with the 9mm. I will say, though, if I remember correctly, and I actually did just review the footage, the initial video where we just built them out of regular paper cards, not foil, it really went through pretty good, but some of the back cards were still kind of seeing this effect, but to a lesser degree. So I think a full metal jacket, especially a brass jacketed round, which is what I used, I think that could slip through the paper cards a little bit easier than a foil. So, hey, if you're interested, leave a like, leave a comment, ask what you'd like me to do next. Everybody's just going to say 1,000. I don't know if I even still own 1,000 foils, but I mean, we all know 3, 4, 500 would probably stop the rifle round. That would appear to be the case. We'd just get a bunch of shredded cards and a bunch of just mangled card corpses, and they'd eventually stop looking like this and catch the bullet. But yeah, anyway, if you're on my Patreon account, I already told you guys about the deadline cutoff already basically happened for making the envelopes, getting your addresses, correcting them, and mailing the stuff. So I'm going to go do that and edit this video. So thanks for coming along on this scientific journey with me, and I'll see you guys next video.